Hello everyone, my name is Armenian. I'm broadcasting out of London in England, and I'm just doing this special appeal to the world basically, and also to help bring to people's attention the extraordinary problems that has been facing the people of Artsakh at the moment. There's around 120,000 or more, we can say, people who are stuck in the Republic of Artsakh. They can't get out, they can't come in. Artsakh, if I was to explain to people, it's literally at the lower end of Armenia, and it's next to Azerbaijan, north of Syria, Iraq and places like that. So it's a small area, small province, but the thing is, it's always been a part of Armenia, not just for the past so many, I don't know, 40 or 50 years since the war of the 80s, but it's been longer than that, since thousands upon thousands of years. It's part of everyone's heritage, although it's not spoken about in history books. And this is what I wanted to highlight, that, why is it important for, even people who are from England, Scotland, Wales, Cornwall, the Britannic people of France and Spain and so many different places, because many of our people who in the time of the prehistory who especially came to this island, they came from that particular mainland that we call Turkey nowadays, at one time Anatolia, and before all that it was called Greater Armenia and Urartu. So it had so many different names, but you see, it's part of our heritage that is not spoken about for many different reasons, mostly political. So to bring the awareness to people is to inspire people into looking into the history of who we are as a nation, especially the British nation, our background and where we came from, and also, help to inspire people to speak up for this small group that are literally trapped, because at the moment there's blockades everywhere, especially in what's called the Lechen corridor, where there's supposed to be supplies of food coming from the mainland of Armenia into the Republic of Artsakh in that area, but Azerbaijan forces, they are stopping food supplies, medical supplies to the people, which are so greatly needed. And generally speaking, I'm not the type of person to speak out too much, yes, I do go to demonstrations, but at the same time I'm not sort of the person to speak out. But because it's coming to, like, in next month or two, we're coming to autumn and then winter, if this continues, those people are going to be in a lot of trouble if they don't get the necessary supplies, especially for the children as well, who need vital food, water, medicines, all these kind of things, even some toys or something, So getting back to the point, why are we connected to Armenia? And this is something that has to be said to our people, because it hasn't been spoken about. Because the problem is, British history to a great degree starts with William the Conqueror that came here in 1066, but we have a long history that goes back thousands of years. I remember my grandmother used to say to me that, we came, when I say grandmother, on my mother's side, my father's side is from Armenia, but also from that area of Nagorno-Karabakh, Artsakh region. So my grandmother on my mum's side used to say, we came to this island 2,500 years ago, and the leader of the group of our people became the first king of Britain, and he named this island after himself. So his name often in Latin is called Brutus. And you see, the history of that is important because it's really connected to the Trojan history, where when Troy fell due to the Trojan horse situation, the people were led out of Troy and were put as slaves in Greece, all around Greece. And it took 3 generations before a hero, a great leader, went there. And he also trained as a Greek, became a Greek officer in the army. And he rounded up the people, and they had a big war to basically take themselves out of slavery. And then what happened is that they managed to negotiate to get ships en route. Our leader Brutus, or Britain, he had a great vision in one of these temples of Diana, where the goddess told him about this land. It was going to be his land and the people's land that came from, from out of slavery, and it was going to be in, our land for perpetuity. You see, so this is the connection. And the people of Troy originally came from what we know Turkey today, but at one time all that area was Armenia. It is written in the Anglo-Saxon chronicles that we came from Armenia, although there was an expert that tried to dispute that and said something else, which was ridiculous. But also there was in the indigenous Welsh history called the Triads of Britain, where Llewellyn McGowan, I think his name was, that was his druidic name back in the 1800s, wrote that we, the people, the nation, that we came from Constantinople today. So there is that connection, but beyond that connection, we actually came from the highlands of Armenia, because I myself went to Armenia in 2014, and I was doing like a research with a lovely family who also was the father. He was an expert in all astronomy, history, ancient history, all these things. And they took me and my wife around Armenia, and unfortunately I couldn't get to where I wanted to in Azerbaijan to see my great grandfather's city of Sochi, but we went as far as we could to Sihanouk, to a monastery there that was called Tatev. And we went to the village and we met the locals and met the chief of the Tatev village. But what was extraordinary, although we met and we talked about the stories, and so the people were saying, yeah, the people came from here, so the locals are saying that. But also, when you go to the graves, you see the actual picture of the graves. They all have like Union Jacks on the gravestones. So that symbol is a very ancient symbol showing where we came from, So the reason why it's not taught, why we suddenly have this 1066 break, only taught that, is because around 2,000 years ago, once the Brittonic kings and queens fell for whatever reasons, but that's for another talk, and the Romans came here. The Romans didn't really get themselves involved in the tribal situations, but the Anglo-Saxon did. And one of the things that, in a sense, has been kind of indoctrinated into us, that many of us who are true English are Anglo-Saxon, but actually many of us who are truly British or truly or English are actually from this group that came to this island back from that mainland. And we have 3 streams of that family, which again is for another talk, but we are very closely related, we can say, although we're not told that, But the Anglo-Saxon came here, Vikings came here, and all of these people that came here, who invaded and conquered as they thought they did, they were all Chinese looking. They were Mongols, although it's not taught that, we're told that there were Nordics that came, and they were like these Nordic looking blonde, tall big guys, you know. In fact, they were actually Mongols, you know, who came to this island and took it over basically, and we were defeated. You know, so these are the things that, you know, it's worth mentioning for people's knowledge, so to expand the knowledge, but also, you know, is to make people aware that Armenia is our ancestral home, and that's what I'm trying to get into the minds of the people, if I can, if there's any way, you know, so that I can get people to help, you know, to write to their MPs or to come help with, you know, walking with us, you know, shoulder to shoulder in a demo or something, you know, or getting inspired to write letters to, you know, United Nations, do something, you know, to be with us, and, you know, your indigenous brothers and sisters as well as your indigenous, but although you're not aware of that, but we are all together, you know, one nation. But the thing is to also recognise what is going on, especially in this area, the Artsakh area, is again another form of genocide, you see, because, you know, the United Nations you know, when they talk about genocide, what do they mean? So what it says in the United Nations under genocide, it says, you know, sorry for looking down, but, you know, the screen's here, acts committed with intent to destroy in whole or in part a nation, ethnical, racial or religious group. It could be either through killing members of the group, causing them serious bodily or mental harm, imposing living conditions intended to destroy the group, preventing births, forcibly transferring children out of the group. Victims are targeted because of their real or perceived membership of the group. Now the thing is, one thing that has been going on at least for the past 40 years is this kind of Armenophobia, where the president of the country, Aliyev, has been constantly indoctrinating the people to hate the people. I mean, the hate has gone so far that at the moment he's got like a theme park just near I think from the Caspian Sea. It looks like a resort of broken down military vehicles with waxworks of, you know, people that, you know, like that, you know, of Armenian soldiers that look terrified or being killed, and then on top of that you've got a whole way of, you know, helmets of taken from dead soldiers, Armenian soldiers, and it's like it calls it the Park of Victory, as he calls it. So in this day and age, you know, you cannot imagine that a Pol Pot mindset would actually be around in this kind of century, but it is, and it's with that person and his political regime. Also that something that's important is that I call upon help, you know, from people who are from Islam as well, you see. So there was, in the name of the Prophet Muhammad, back in, I think it was 626, and I will put the link in the you know, the bio below, where he gave protection to Armenians, specifically to the churches in Jerusalem, as well as to many of the churches beyond, into the hills of northern Syria, northern Iraq, all the places of where Azerbaijan, including Nagorno-Karabakh, Armenia, Western Armenia today. So many of those monasteries, churches, ancient church, they're all ancient, and they're sacred sites. And the point being is that they were given permission by the Prophet Muhammad. So I ask also for our Islamic brothers and sisters to help with the cause to stop this genocide and destruction of our culture, because also the destruction of our culture is the destruction of everyone's culture, because we all need to know our connection of where we came from, who we are, what we are, because it's one of those most important things that goes beyond, in a sense, of the religion, but it goes into the prehistory, which is to do with the folk history. And the people over there, they know the history. You see, it's not just what we read in books or what we've read in these different places. So from that perspective, it's an important thing. And I also call upon, help from the Armenian community, because you guys, you have this tendency of not saying anything. When it's really necessary to do something, I know because, my father's the same. He's very nervous about talking about politics, and there's this, but actually we need to talk about politics, because, it's something that can create change in a society and also make people aware about society. So it's important to know what we have right now, and what we're living in right now in the West society is the culmination of losing something sacred, you see. So what I'm saying is that please say something, to go as well, especially, when it comes to in the event of what can I say, on I think it's Saturday the 2nd of September, is to at least go out and make people aware of the situation in Artsakh. So it's like a worldwide thing, so that we can all come out, educate people, talk to people, inspire people, get them to understand what has happened, what is going on. Because I know many of you do tend to be nervous, and I'm asking you not to be nervous, because I know that I remember years ago listening to Robert Kennedy Jr. say what his father said, Robert Kennedy Sr., who was an amazing politician, who told his son, the only thing that you have to fear is fear itself. Because fear is, I know you feel it, but fear is, it's nothing other than, just take a step and see what happens, say something, do something, be part of something, because when you actually step out, you suddenly realise, what was I worried about? Nothing happens, so nothing happens. So just, come out. And also for our brothers and sisters who are also in the universities, and there's so many of you who are experts in so many different fields, you do tend to sit on your laurels, and we need you to lead the way as well, because you do tend to, take a sit back and think, well, I'm going to take my tenure, I don't have to worry about it. Maybe it might be an unsolvable situation, but without doing anything, how do we know? So I'm asking you to come out as well, come out to educate the people about what's going on. Let not this genocide happen again, because our Western Armenian brothers and sisters have had it with the genocide. The genocide is happening there. We can do another video about reasons, a bit more technical, but this is just an introduction, a small introduction, just to inspire people to do something on the day and beyond. More, pressure on, the Azerbaijan embassies, more letters coming, more, people going there and asking and, sort of protesting something to say, this is not acceptable in this day and age to have theme parks and blockading people to starve them to death. It may have happened 150 years ago, but in this day and age of computers, phones, and I don't know, tablets and all the rest of it, it seems somewhat, the days of barbarism, so stop it, because you are also our brothers and sisters, because at one time your land was also Armenia, besides what you've been told. And when you look at me and I look at you, we look the same, just like our Turkish brothers and sisters, they look the same as us. It's just that we've been taught differently, and you know, and also our European brothers and sisters, we're all one nation, and because in our ancient history, where we came from was that area, because in those areas had the portals where our ancient ancestors came through to start the life here as the European nation. So there's a lot to be told, a lot of history. Live or die, we are Armenian. Please come out, say something, do something, be brave, nothing to fear. There's a lot to live for, so let's do it. Okay, brothers and sisters, thank you so much for listening to me. I know it's a long video, but it had to be told at this time. Take care. Thank you. Bye.